Flavor chasing is the fastest way to gain weight. If you think that you need variety to stick to a diet, you aren't eating for hunger, you're in withdrawal. Today, I'm going to explain why I believe that so strongly, and then I'm going to show you why copying my plate is a recipe for disaster, why the fruit and honey trend is dangerous for your health, and the one filter you need to break the cycle once and for all. To understand why flavor chasing is trapping you, we first have to look at the rules that you're following because, well, you've been trained to ask what I'm eating. And you ask that because you believe that if you just copy the ingredients in the foods that I eat, you're going to get the results that I got. But that's not true. If you copy my plate, you're setting yourself up to fail. And there's loads of reasons for that, but I want you to understand that this isn't just about recipes. We copy because we're anxious and we don't want to make mistakes. We want someone else to make the decision for us. And we think that because I had success, I somehow know something that you're missing. And so basically, you don't want to get it wrong. So you're expecting me to just lay it out for you. You're not trusting your hunger. You're not trusting your own beliefs and understanding and thoughts about food. And rightfully so. In the past, those have led you astray. So I do get that. But when we copy the person on the screen, are we doing that because they look like they have everything under control, or they have, they might be doctors or nutritionists or trainers. They've studied this stuff. So we're trusting them more than we are trusting the signals from our body, right? The signals they put out into the world, which we know that everybody shares their highlight reel. They don't share their real struggles. And even when they share their real struggles, and I'm guilty of that as well, you share them after you figured it out, not while you're struggling with it. We watch these influencers and we believe them until, of course, eventually they let us know, well, oh, that was a mistake. So I want you to consider that trusting what you see on a screen over the reality of the health you get by eating the very same things doesn't make sense. I'll give you myself as the example. I have thalassemia. So everybody talks about beef and lamb and all these red meats. And that's the way to, especially animals with 4 stomachs. That's the way to do it. Those animals with 4 stomachs do amazing things for our planet. Let me just start there. Cows and lamb, all the 4-chambered, they do amazing things. One of the amazing things that they do really well is they give us a lot of iron in the meat that we eat from them. We need iron. So across the board, myself, and I need iron. However, with my thalassemia, I can't tolerate the amount of iron that the average person healthily consumes and thrives on. That's important for everyone who is going to try to copy my diet to understand. I keep the red meat extremely low. Now, I will say this. Dr. Chafee has even questioned if the question that connection. Did I just say, well, because Dr. Chafee says that I should be eating red meat, I eat it? No. I looked at the results of what happens when I chew on red meat. And I even tested it after he said that to me because I thought, well, maybe my health has changed and improved enough that today I could actually manage red meat. Whereas 8 years ago, I talked to him 2 years ago. So say 5.5 years ago, I couldn't. And guess what I saw? What I saw was, back then when I tasted some red meat, reactions. My mouth felt like off. Like I tasted like metallic, like I didn't feel good. Now, somebody else might have a heart issue, right? Somebody else is going to have insulin out of the levels that are crazy, and like somebody else is going to have some other health related something that we don't know about that is going to impact why they put one thing on their plate over something else. But I need us to understand the baseline. Eating healthy is the right action no matter what health issue you have. But what each individual body is going to call healthy eating could vary somewhat. And this is about now levels of toxicity, so toxins in our food, more so than it is about the type of food. So you'll notice that, yes, I don't eat red meat. Red meat, for some reason, causes me to feel, oof, like not great. However, I eat chicken, I eat pork, I eat basically all the white meats. I eat fish, I eat eggs. I didn't say, well, because I can't eat red meat, I'm just going to stick to vegetation, because I have learned vegetation, so fruits and vegetables, just to be clear, all the leafies, the nuts and legumes and seeds and all that stuff. What I've learned is that for our body, for our health, those things are even worse. And when I had them in my diet, yes, I felt even worse. So it wasn't a matter of, it was a matter of understanding my body. It was a matter of paying attention. It was a matter of, okay, forcing yourself to eat my plate of chicken and pork on repeat would be you ignoring that your body might actually thrive on some red meat, would be begging you for red meat. And you wouldn't be prioritizing your health. You'd be prioritizing this aesthetic that I was able to create, or the speed at which I was able to lose weight. I lost 80 pounds in 5 months. A lot of people find that impressive. And so you might be trying to eat like me because you want to get that result. You might be trying to accomplish the perceived discipline that, I mean, this woman eats just pork, chicken, and eggs on repeat, the discipline that she has. She doesn't eat any vegetation. You might be trying to replicate my discipline, right? But you don't want to do that at the expense of your metabolic health and your energy needs. That doesn't make sense, Wellness Warrior. The tricky part is that when you aren't eating enough iron to meet your body's needs, you're going to feel exhausted. And then you're not going to blame me. You're going to blame yourself, because that's what we've been trained to do. Whenever we try to do a diet and the diet doesn't work, it has to be me. I had to be the one that I didn't do it right. I didn't do it strictly enough. I didn't do it long enough. Or there's something that's about the internal talk that you are going to be doing, beating yourself up, focusing on how no diet ever works for you, focusing how your family is just either big boned or just heavy, or like this is just where our family is, so it's my genetics. Or you might think that, again, I just didn't do it right. That's the worst one, right? If I just keep blaming myself and my genetics and like, I didn't do it right. If you were trying to, so, okay, example. I'm gonna give you examples. If you were trying to clear some snow in your driveway with a lawnmower, I mean, you could see the flaw in that, right? There's some snow that's going to go flying off to the side, and you might be able to clear enough space to get your car out if that's really the only thing you want to care about. But that's not the right tool for the job, right? You need a snow blower. We need to find the foods that help our body to feel their best. Its best, your best. You want to feel your best, Wellness Warrior. You don't just want to do the thing that's kind of working, right? And you don't want to be flavor chasing. We need to stop that immediately. Find the food that causes your body and your brain to function at its best, because true health starts the moment that you stop looking for a savior outside of yourself and start evaluating how the food you eat contributes to how your body is healing. And I can tell that my body is healing because my body feels good. My body is functioning better. And yes, I'm going to get some signs like my skin's going to, things are going to start to improve. So I want us to assume for the moment that you stop copying me or any other person that you see online, and you figure out the right foods that work for you, your body. When you eat these things, you feel good. And when you eat and you stop eating the things that cause you to feel off, whether that off is mental or that off is physical, you stop eating those things. This is a massive step forward in your health and your ability to take care of yourself. But if the scale isn't moving, so it's still not moving, what does that mean? Well, that could be because fixing the food doesn't fix your relationship with the food. You're still using food as a primary source of entertainment, possibly, which leaves us vulnerable to like the biological issues that most of us don't talk about. Going back to these people that we're looking at online share their highlight reel. They are not sharing the behind the scenes bathrooming issues they might be having, or like they're not sharing. We need to talk about why life feels kind of gray when you stop chasing flavor, when you're not entertaining yourself with food. So, how I want you to think about this is that let's imagine that every single day your life felt like your best vacation day ever. After about a month of living that amazing level of relaxation and calm, or if you're like me, excitement and snowboarding and like just going crazy and having a bunch of fun, depending on what you consider a perfect day, you'd need to top it for it to be more interesting, for it to be your perfect day. So after a month, that snowboarding excitement wouldn't feel like excitement anymore. I did it every day for a month. There is actually such a thing as too much of a good thing. That really does exist. If you've relaxed au max for a month, relaxing for another week is going to drive you crazy. You're not going to want it. It's going to be problematic. And that translates over to food. High carb foods flood your brain with dopamine. Over time, you need more and more and more and more high carb foods to keep that dopamine level at the level that allows you to just feel normal. And if you don't get that level, your world looks very gray. Those keto friendly fruits and treats that we eat raise our insulin levels and dopamine levels. So they release dopamine, right? Although they're so much lower in carb than what we used to eat. So if we think about like these stupidities, they are much lower in carb than those stupidities that we used to eat, that I used to eat on repeat daily, right? That's what was keeping my brain, my dopamine level at a certain level. Then we went through all the problem of bringing that carbohydrate count down, right? We got ourselves healthy. We were feeling super amazing and our food was making sense to us. And then what happens? Because we regularly eat those low carbohydrate fruits and those sweet tasting vegetables, right? Even though they're low carb, they taste sweet. Those vegetables that taste sweet to you. Because we regularly eat those keto treats that even though they don't have any even, they might not even have any sugar in them. Although some of them, like, but they're low carb or devoid of carb. Some of them are just like fat bombs and that kind of thing, but they have a sweet flavor to them. Because we eat these things regularly, what we don't understand is that A, our tolerance to sweet is building up, but more importantly, B, that dopamine triggering scenario is still happening. Yes, if I have carbohydrate coming in, dopamine is happening. Although on a lower level, because the amount of carbohydrate coming in is lower, I'm still going to get used to it. And therefore, I will again be chasing it. I need us to really pause and understand that. Because if we don't, we'll keep making the mistake. And I will share that when I was eating cashews, normally I was having a normal relationship with cashews. It was not overwhelming. It was eventually those cashews started tasting so sweet. It was unreal. And all of a sudden, what I started to understand was the cashews were impacting me. I was no longer just eating something that was like eating something because I wanted to eat something. Because I was hungry, let's say. I was eating something because they tasted sweet and I was chasing and I didn't realize it. Like that change happened so sneakily. I was eating something because it tasted sweet and my brain was reacting and I was in a problem again. We need to understand that even when there's no carbohydrate coming in, that brain response, it's called the cephalic phase response. That brain response is so strong that your body is releasing insulin before you even swallow whatever it was that you put in your mouth. So in actuality, you haven't actually gotten any sugar into the blood yet. And your brain is already deploying insulin to make space for the incoming sugar. Your brain is already exciting and dopamine happening because you can taste it. And it's like, and don't forget, dopamine is not just about the release, it's also the anticipation. It works on both sides of this coin. So dopamine is being released. You are putting yourself in a position that sweet flavor, whether it's actual sugar or not, is raising your insulin and causing your life to need more insulin. Sorry, raising your dopamine and causing your life to need more dopamine just for you to stay stable. And you need more insulin just to keep your body healthy. So I wasn't wrong in talking about the insulin too. You need both of these things. Your body will be in a problem if that insulin doesn't rise. So our insulin levels reach tolerance, our dopamine levels reach tolerance. We need more and more. This explains why you get stalled even though you're eating the same, your macros are all looking the same, you are doing everything perfectly, but somehow you're stalled. This is one of the reasons, because fructose doesn't have the same impact on the glucose monitor, even if you're tracking with the CGM, that sugar does. So glucose does. The fructose is going undetected. Everything looks right, even though your body's struggling. Your tongue is signaling that incoming sugar, and your pancreas is doing the right thing. It's producing insulin, and your brain is doing the right thing. It's producing dopamine, and you're chasing, and you're out of control, and you're struggling, and you don't understand why. Now, our world throws another curveball at us because we like to classify people as foodies. And then when I get classified as a foodie, I don't think there's anything wrong with me indulging and focusing on food because, well, I'm a foodie, right? People who entertain themselves with food. So why wouldn't I be focused on food? And just because I'm doing keto and carnivore doesn't mean that my food can't be fun and amazing and blah, 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 blah. And they've gotten us to trick ourselves into putting so much attention on the food that we're eating that we don't realize that by putting this kind of attention on the food that we're eating, we allow space for mistakes to happen, right? We allow ourselves to, let's say, go out to eat at particular restaurants. And when we're doing that, we might suspend our way of eating because, well, this restaurant is like, it's worth it, right? We might spend large quantities of time focusing on cooking and eating and not realize that by spending large quantities of time focusing on cooking and then eating, we're making our life about cooking and eating and therefore struggle with our weight loss program. We need to understand that being classified as a foodie is amazing marketing that hides our dependency behind a cute and maybe even glamorous ideal, right? I'm a foodie. If you're at the Julia Child level where people come to your house and rave about, ooh, Violet made this, Violet made that, it was amazing. If you're at that level of cooking skills, it might be hard to give up that title. But we need to understand that behind the scenes, what's really driving our focus on food is our desire to eat the food. And often that desire to eat the food is what allows us to have less rules sometimes. Well, I'm at this restaurant, I have to eat that. Like, I'm in this country, I have to try that. It's this holiday, there's no way I can't eat that. And because we are so focused on what we're eating, first of all, we make these mistakes. But second of all, we're not able to be in our own thoughts and focus on cooking and eating. Like, that's what we do. We focus on cooking and eating to keep our brains busy. And why do we do that? Usually, it's because we don't want to focus on the things in life that we don't like. Maybe I don't like my relationship, right? Maybe I can't stand my job. Maybe somebody in my family is sick and I'm not managing it. And we put all of our time, energy, effort into these things. So food and cooking food and we get that physical, right? We get a reaction and it feels good for a moment. And even though we know our weight is a problem, those life problems seem so much more scary and insurmountable. We would rather refocus our brain on food than fix the life problem. Eating for health isn't even on our radar at that point. But I need you to understand that eating for health isn't boring. It's what frees your mind to solve life's problems. When I know that eating the right thing will get me the good health and I can stop worrying about my own health, that means I can learn to deal with sadness, anger, frustration, loneliness, and the host of other negative emotions that we hide from and try not to face. Guess what, Wellness Warrior? We aren't supposed to be happy all the time, on repeat, every day, no problems. That's again people's highlight reel that we keep trying to compare our life to. And it doesn't work. In the real world, people have problems. Life isn't a constant vacation. Facing the challenges of your life is hard, but then if you do it, it is the most rewarding thing you are ever going to do because solving the issues in life leaves us feeling successful and it spurs us on to tackle tackle other problems, tackle everything else, gather more success. What happens when you gather more success, right? Like when you open your phone and you see the carnivore doctor with millions of subscribers eating mangoes or pouring honey on steak, you are left questioning who's right, right? There has to be something to what this doctor is talking about. He has to know something that Violet doesn't know, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. What we are all missing is that many doctors, nurses, researchers, and even trainers struggle with their weight and their health. Think about it. How many times have you walked through a hospital or a medical center and there are people in there who are obese or ill and they're working? We cannot ignore the chemistry and the biology of the human body. First of all, people are going to get sick. That's just a reality of being human. I'm not talking about that though. I'm talking about this other element that if you overeat sugar, you reignite the cravings and your dependency returns. No matter how smart you think you are, if you reintroduce the sugar, the cravings come back. But here's the problem that everybody ignores when they see these doctors going back to, and so not just doctors, but really important influencers who gave us this path. And we see them doing this path and they're doing so well. And then we see them reintroducing things. What we don't understand is that beyond the cravings, everyone will have their own physical reactions to the foods that they're eating. What does that mean? I could be doing super well, eating appropriately, but my body still has something that I don't like going on. So some people will have weight, some people will have skin issues, some have mental health issues. I myself had pain. And the thing is, and this is twofold a problem. Okay, so there's two sides to this. Problem number one, my skin issues, so I also had skin issues, didn't go away right away. I've seen many influencers who have skin issues, whether it be loose skin or it be skin rashes like I had. Matter of fact, I had both. And they will complain and be frustrated and annoyed and blah, 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 blah. And then they talk about what can I do to make my skin issue heal faster? Versus what I decided to do was continue to eat healthy because I recognized that that was the thing that got me out of the problem in the first place, and allow my body to heal itself when it felt it was time to heal it. So let my skin get better when my skin gets better. Two different ways of attacking the same problem. Mine involved me suffering with a skin issue. Why? Why did I choose that? Because I recognize that I can't let myself envy someone else's success. And therefore, I can't envy their issue either. And so this is where it gets tricky. If I'm only looking at the success, and if you only look at my success, what do you see? I lost 80 pounds in 5 months. And if you look at me today, my skin is back to normal, and like my loose skin, practically non-existent. If you look at me today, it looks like everything is under control. But like I said earlier, most people don't talk about what's not working. So there's a possibility that I'm not talking about a gut issue, or I'm not talking about a mental health issue, or some other something that's going on in my life. Wellness warrior, you can't know for sure that every single solitary thing I'm presenting to you is reality. And this is the problem that I have with people that come back and say, oh, I'm bringing this back because, and they give you this great reason. And we just take that at face value. What if they got pulled back into their cravings because they thought this thing was going to solve the skin issue, but now you're looking at them and it's part of their daily routine? The one thing that we do know is high carbohydrate foods do damage to human bodies, period. Please do not envy somebody else's issue or success. Don't envy it. If they can't label it, so let's say they are saying, look, I'm thin and my skin is good. And if everything that they're showing you looks good, and they're eating this carbohydrate heavy something. I mean, there was one influencer trying to solve dandruff by eating high carb foods. If you didn't gain weight back, don't have any other, you don't have any pain issues like I would have had, or any of those other things, then what does that mean is happening? The damage is likely internal. The sugar is doing something, Wellness Warrior. Please keep that in mind. The sugar is doing something. I think it gets lost on many people that anyone can fall back into dependency. I think it's lost on us because we've never tried to actually stop eating sugar before. And so for those of us who got ourselves down to the required 20 grams of carbs or less, and we did it swiftly and went through that withdrawal, we recognize that there was a dependency there. But if you did it slowly over time, you might allow yourself to bring things back in because you didn't recognize that there was a dependency there. But here's the problem that if you talk to anybody who's tried to quit smoking or drinking will tell you, that first time you quit, and you might quit for a year or two or whatever, and it's like it seems so easy. If you bring it back, without fail, they all report that when you bring it back and then try to get back into it, not as nowhere near as easy as the first time that you took it out of your life. Hecka hard, right? Extremely hard. And I can share with you that that was part of my story. So I did understand the withdrawal. So I didn't get me that way. But what happened was I thought that nuts and seeds and legumes and I thought they were healthy, right? I was keto and I thought they could work for me. So I was eating cashews. But what happened every time I was upset? Cashews. And then I started to notice that. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to eat cashews when I'm upset. So I put that part down. But then every time I did have cashews, what else did I notice? They taste sweet. And then that started to pull me in. And then next thing you know, even though my brain was saying I can't eat cashews when I'm upset, every time I'm upset, what was I eating? I was eating cashews. So having to stop and look at what was happening and realize, oh my goodness, cashews have me chasing. When we ignore the biology, we're going to bring back those carbs. We're going to get pulled back into those cravings, and then we're spiraling. We are back in it, and we just don't know. We don't know until we are so out of control. And so myself, I was feeling pain again. For some of us, it will be the weight, the scale changes. For some of us, it's going to be a bunch of things. How do you behave when you need a fix? Right? You need to pay attention to yourself. How do you behave? Because if you don't know the things that you do when you are trying to chase something, then you're going to make all kinds of excuses. And you know what? When you're a doctor and you've got all this knowledge and you're just that smart and you can look at any part of the pathway and the system and talk to it, you make what? Amazing excuses. Crazy excuse. You are going to start talking about different biochemical reactions that need to happen for you to be, and all of a sudden, you're not just convincing yourself that eating honey is okay. You're convincing the viewer that eating high carb foods is okay. Even though the viewer knows that when they put those high carbohydrate foods down, they felt better. Their body was healing and things were improving. Let's not trade glycation and long-term internal damage for the quick relief from fatigue or skin issues. And that's if we even get that outcome, Wellness Warrior. That's if the high carb food actually gives you that relief. So I have some homework for you. And it's not about recipes. No new recipes. Stop looking for them. The homework I have for you is I want you to do a garbage check. if there is more than one ingredient, so stuff like this that has more than one ingredient, pasta packages like this that have more than one ingredient, if there's more than one ingredient on a package, put it down. That's not food. I want you to eat only real food. That's meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt, first of all. If you're keto, low glycemic vegetables, the lowest you can possibly do, please put fruit down. It's a trap. Don't fall for it. I want you to eat when you're hungry, not by the clock, not because other people are doing it, not because someone offered you something. If you're not hungry, we don't eat. When you're hungry, you eat. And I want you to stop eating if you're keto when you're satiated. If you're carnivore, when you're comfortably full. Right? When you get, usually for me, I try to wait till I get that feeling. When I get that, this isn't tasting right anymore feeling, I stop eating. I want you to understand that eating healthy food, which seems boring to the world, isn't boring. It's not a punishment. It's peace of mind. And you know what the most incredible thing is about eating healthy food? Is that when you eat healthy food on repeat, rather than it seeming boring, feeling boring, it feels and delicious. It tastes delicious. It is like I look forward to my meals every single day. Yes, the ground pork, chicken that I eat. So 3 types of pork chops, ground pork, chicken on repeat. Eggs beside those 3 things on repeat. Sometimes I have bacon and eggs. I look forward to eating those things on repeat because they help my body to feel amazing. It is just an amazing time for me. If you focus on doing these things, you will get your life back because you're going to get your health back. And that is the most important thing that you are going to get out of eating food, because you eat food to build a healthy body, wellness warrior. That is the whole point. As I said a week ago, or a few days ago, a fit diabetic is still a diabetic. Why would I want to be a fit diabetic? I want to be a healthy person, as fit as I possibly can be, whatever that ends up looking like. And I want to point something else out to you. We are just a few days away from the holidays. And the thing that I want to make sure that I clarify for everybody who is watching this video today is that I didn't make the typical how not to eat junk over the holidays video. And that's because the truth is that eating properly is something that we're supposed to do every single day, no matter what week of the year we're in. It's not about Christmas or your birthday or any other, like whether we are the week before Christmas, the week of April 17th, you are supposed to eat properly every single day. And I had this plan, but then I opened my phone today just before coming into this meeting, and I read a comment that honestly it made me just pause and realize, can I find it? I saw this comment and I was just like, I have to talk about this because it is unbelievable to me that people are struggling the way that they're struggling. The person was talking about how, and I can't find it right now, I should have left it on the screen, but the person was talking about how they do carnivore and do it amazingly. They lost weight, got their health back, etc. And then when the holidays roll around, they will eat off plan over the holidays, and then they will find themselves chasing. But it only takes them a few days to get back on track and they move forward. And Wellness Warrior, I want to caution every single person against doing this, because this is part of the trap that we get pulled into. We think that because we can get ourselves back on track, that the damage that happened in those few days, whether it's a week or whether it's just 2 days, we think that the damage that happens there doesn't matter. But I want you to think about the outside of your body. If you had a cut and because you just felt like it, you went and played football and that cut got reopened, uh, you risk the chance of infection. And even though, yes, you can heal afterwards, you still risk the chance of infection. But what we don't think about is that I can see whether or not my skin heals. I could have waited. I could have just skipped out this game and said, you know what? That cut will reopen. I'm going to skip it out. I will play football next time. No, I pushed through it right? And if you think about that from a perspective of our body, I can't tell on the inside if my heart or lungs or kidneys or liver or whatever is having a problem. And I want us to be clear about something. Even when they run blood tests, when they give us those results, it does not mean that there isn't any damage going on. It means that we haven't reached the threshold to get a diagnosis. That's what it means. But it doesn't mean that there's zero damage. Why is that important? Because I can see the cut. And if I would go and play football with this cut on my arm, most people would be like, what are you doing? Sit it out. What are you doing? That doesn't make any sense. And if it were to rip open while I'm playing the sport, people would be like, what, okay, why the heck did you do that? Not making sense, Violet. But we will risk reopening internal damage for a holiday or a birthday or a vacation? Wellness warrior, it doesn't make any sense. I really do want you to see that the best thing that you can do for yourself is to eat healthy every single day because your body needs building blocks and clean fuel every single day without fail, no matter what. Now, in the description, I have a video that goes deeper into cravings. So you're going to want to check that video after we'd go through some comments. So you check it out after this. Now, I want to first of all just thank everybody for for joining us here. Chrissy, she says, I plan on joining your Wellness Warriors membership in January 1st. Hey, I will look forward to talking to you. I think you're talking your Wellness Warrior membership. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you in meetings, Chrissy. Over on Discord, we have what she's talking about is we have a group in Discord. And I look forward to meeting with you and talking with you and helping you to stay on track and any other things you're looking to do. Thank you very much. I know your help is priceless. I appreciate you, Chrissy. And I mean, I appreciate anyone who contributes in any way that they can, whether you buy t-shirts, if you give the donation through YouTube or through the link that I have in the description, or if joining the community though, and being in there and getting the information so you can take care of your body. Obviously, if you have things that you're still trying to heal, that is the thing to do. Let's see. Good morning, Pat. Nice to see you here. And I knew he's in the next room, but I'm glad that he commented. Um, Terrific. So, hello, carnivorous grandma. If you guys have questions, this is the opportunity to put them in right now because I'm going to go through whatever questions I get. And then, of course, we're going to jump off and go and get ready for the holidays and do all the rest of the things that we need to do. I'm glad you caught alive too. And if you have any questions or any comments, I would love to hear them. And it looks like our only question, it looks like I needed to hear this message so much this morning. I woke up during the night and ate a bag of chips. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I should have gone back to bed, but instead I followed my dependency to the pantry. So, Janice, I mean, it's frustrating when these things happen. What I would want you to think about, maybe taking a quick look to see what caused me to wake up. So there's a possibility that you woke up because I mean, you could have just needed to go to the washroom, possibly. But I'm also wondering sometimes what we don't realize, going back to that whole dependency, going back to our brain needing stimulation. Um, we've known for a long time that people who drink could end up needing to like get up in the middle of the night and like, they wake up and they can't get back to sleep because they're coming down, right? And so that's frustrating for people. And I think that what's interesting is that maybe there's a possibility the same thing happens for people who are chasing sugar. As you're sleeping and your body's kind of regulating and everything, trying to get yourself back to baseline, obviously the hormones in our mind are also going to get back to normal. And then what happens? Do we end up all of a sudden chasing? And so, like you're saying, well, I could have followed, gone back to bed, right? Instead of following your dependency. But I think it's easier said than done. And what I would encourage you to do is look at the meal you had the night before. So you're talking about last night, is what I'm understanding here. I would look at last night's meal. I would verify, could it be that I had more carb than I'm able to manage? Again, I think that most people are unlucky that they don't have violet syndrome and don't live the pain that I live when I eat the wrong thing. Because trust me, being in pain is a super great way for your mind, for your body, it's a great way for you to truly focus in on what helps your body and what doesn't help your body. Because every time I ate off track and I feel it, it helps me remember why I'm eating on track. For you, it might be every time you start chasing, is recognizing, what does that say about the last meal that I had? Right? Because I needed to do that too. Like, I needed to recognize that those cashews also were causing me to chase because I wasn't always feeling pain. Sometimes I would just want to have more than one serving. And it's like, why am I wanting more than, like, I had to really talk to myself and allow myself to see that that's not good for me. So if I pause and look at what I'm doing and say, okay, why do I want another serving of this? What can I do differently here? That's how we end up doing better for ourselves, right? Because every time that I verify with me, I'm going to be able to say, oh, okay, that made a difference or this made a difference. That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it. Okay. And yes, I was in terrible fibromyalgia pain this morning. So you do have pain as well. Okay. So if you also have pain, then yeah, that also brings us to the other piece of the puzzle, which is my body is clearly telling me that chips is an issue. Can I ask you a question, Janice? Maybe you can answer this for me. Are you the only one? Like, are you the person making the decisions about the food in your house? Because theoretically, could you just stop buying chips if chips are a trigger for you? I will tell you that luckily for me, when I started this way of eating, since I do control the food in my house, I was able to just cut way back on the junk food that I was buying, first of all. And because I didn't quite understand the repercussions of my daughter eating junk food at that point in time, what I did was I just traded. I only bought junk that she liked and I didn't because I didn't like it. I knew I wouldn't be tempted to eat that stuff because it's not my cup of tea. And eventually, I was able to see that no matter where I was, because I took the junk food out of my diet, I was no longer chasing junk food at all. But that took a while, right? That took time. So initially, just making sure that my house was clear of the stuff that would cause me to overeat or to want to eat off plan, I guess would be the right thing to say there, helped. And then eventually, as I move forward, then I started focusing in on this other point, which is that when I, not that I started focusing in on, like it's easier when you're out and about to not eat off plan. So to stick to your healthy way of eating, if you've been doing it all the time. And that's just reality, right? Like, again, going back to drinking or smoking, if I'm just not drinking or just not smoking, then it's easier to not do it when I go out. Like, I'm just not doing it. So I just keep not doing it. When I'm doing it sporadically, then every opportunity actually looks like an opportunity. And what happens when when we see opportunities? We take them. And it really is that basic of an idea. Again, we need to be careful and truly understand that companies use our psychological way of actually interacting with the world against us. So because companies know that if you do something sometimes, you'll see the opportunities to do it. They get us to eat off plan once in a while so that when it's Christmas or birthday or whatever special event happens in your life, there is a chance you touch the thing. And of course, they know that if you happen to touch the thing, the other side of that coin is you could end up chasing because you're back in your compulsion, right? It's there. You are out of control again, and you end up eating more than you ever expected to eat. Please understand that they are using our psychology against us. And the only real attack, the real method to fight back is to use our psychology in our favor. This is why I talk about the things I talk about. I want you to understand why you do what you do. This is the kind of stuff we talk about in the meetings, right? Because I can't talk about this stuff too much here because the videos they just don't reach enough people. So I have to try to keep what I'm talking like like I have to try to keep myself on track with the things that are the fastest to help you. And I try to give you the quick version of why the psychological thing is happening. But I can't go into the detail that I truly need to go into because first of all, I need to know the exact scenario that's happening with you. Like with you, Janice, where I'm saying, well, look at what you ate yesterday. Can you see where maybe there was more carbon there? Could that have been what caused your dopamine? So now you're like falling into a negative while you're sleeping, and your body's like, no, 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 this can't happen. And it wakes you up to go get something to get you back stable. Like, I couldn't know that for sure. And I still don't know that for sure because I don't know what you ate, right? And I don't know what your number is, which is another thing that I talk about. We need to understand that just because Dr. Westman popularized this idea of keto being 20 grams of less, 20 grams. Well, was it Dr. Westman that popularized it? He was the first one that I heard make the distinction. Because if you look up what a ketogenic diet is, the definition is 50 grams of carbs or less. But Dr. Westman, I remember him making that distinction that he tells people 20 because he wants them to be so far away from that 50 that they can't accidentally go over. And I've taken it a step further by focusing on the or less because it's not 20 grams of carbs. It's or less because you don't want to get to the number that kicks you out of ketosis. And by understanding that it was or less, that really did help me because it helped me to see that I could eat, well, when I ate up to the 20, I ended up in a situation where like I was having pain again and I wasn't feeling well. And eventually what I figured out is that my number was 18. And as soon as I knew my number was 18, Wellness Warrior, what do you think I did? I took my carb count down to 10 because I wanted to be sure, again, going back to what Dr. Westman taught me, I wanted to be sure I didn't even touch 18. Can I get as far away from 18 as possible? Now I'm as far today away from 18 as I possibly could be because I don't add carbohydrates to my food. So that's as far away from 18 as I could possibly be. I've removed even the heavy cream from my diet, which I'm going to be making a video about that soon. Well, in the new year, I'll be making a video about that. But I have done the things that help me to take the best care of my body possible because taking care of your body is the most important thing you will ever do. Point final. There's nothing else that you're ever going to do that's as important as that. And so we have no choice but to take it seriously. So maybe I could stop. Two teenagers still living at home, one with severe autism, my daughter, offered to keep it all in her room because she knows how hard it is for me. So one thing that I will say, Janice, and I'm throwing this out there, I'm going to encourage you to read Dr. Ead's book. Maybe I'll link it in the description afterwards. I would encourage you to read Dr. Ead's book about, so it's, what's the book called? Change Your Body, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. She specifically talks about some success that they're having with mental health things. And if I remember correctly, she did talk about autism. So you might want to even consider like removing these high carb things to help the person with autism. So I'm saying that, but read the book because I feel like that was in that book that I learned about that. But I have learned that there are people that are getting great results and that they're like their autism diminishing because they take the high carbohydrate foods. So basically their ability to interact better improves, however you want to say that, whichever direction you want to take that from. So that's one thing that I will say. I would read her book, and she's amazing. I've interviewed her on this channel. She's amazing. And the other thing that I would say is your teens will do better. And if they're teenagers, they theoretically could eat their junk outside the house. Like they have access, right? And so, and I think it's important for you to get rid of the things that you know you're going to touch. Because the other thing about our teens is that doesn't mean that just because they like to have something in the house that they need to have everything at their disposal 24/7. Buy something that's for them if you're still going to buy them something, and just make sure that you label it that way in your own mind, that that's for them, therefore I'm not going to eat it, and I would try to buy something I don't like if you can do that. And that allows you to focus on keeping focused on your good health and doing the things for yourself that are going to help you to make sure that you're doing the best for yourself that you possibly can. And that's all we can really do, right? Just do the best for ourselves that we possibly can. And do it as frequently. So if I think about eating healthy every day, I increase the chance that I eat healthy every day. Oh, I would love to see you there, Janice. That would be great. I definitely want everyone to understand the benefit of understanding how your mind works so that we can appropriately solve our health issues. So it looks to me like that's the end of the questions. And good afternoon, Bride's Biscuit. I'm very happy that you're here. So it's perfect. I'm glad that you're all here. I'm glad that that was helpful to you, Janice. And so because I don't have any questions, I'm going to jump out. But like I said, I would love for everyone to take good care of yourself this holiday season, but every week, not just this holiday season, every week. Garbage check before you eat anything. Verify that it's real food, and then take good care of your body. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you guys next week. Today's video is brought to you by my keto consultations. You know how to do keto, but you're having trouble just sticking with it? Book a consultation with me and we're going to get you back on track.